Welcome back to The Canon, where we dive into the cinematic universe of comic books and superheroes. And as always, bring you the stuff that matters. Today I'm joined by my partner, Terry.
How you guys doing? Good to be back. Also, go Patriots this weekend.
No. And I'm your host, Sal. This week, we had DC drop 2 new TV spots for Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Then, director Zack Snyder added an extended clip while on the set of Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Terry, what were your thoughts on the spots?
Yeah, I really liked them. The first, I kind of count them as 2. The first 2 we got during the playoffs. One was new footage. One was kind of what we already seen with Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, and then Lex interrupting. So I don't really count that one. But the one when Batman runs into Superman and he bounces off of him, and then Zack Snyder gave us an extended clip with the dialogue between them. I liked how powerful it showed Superman was just right away, and I'm glad they didn't make it where he's powerful but he kind of struggles to lift things, but he can do it after a while and things like that, or things don't phase him even though he gets knocked 50 feet backwards. I wouldn't have liked it that way. I like it that it just bounces right off of him. And then the dialogue, it was a little dark for me for Superman. He told him, next time they shine a light, don't go there. Yeah. And if Superman told me that, I'm like, all right, I understand. But then he said the bat is dead, bury it. But then we also got a lot of what Batman is. To see that happen, to hear those words from a guy that you know has all these power, and still say, hey, tell me, do you bleed? And it's just the psychological games that Batman does. He's saying, like, listen, I'm not scared of you. You could kill me, but I'm not going to be scared of you ever. And so it really sets up these 2 titans. I really love those. And it got us back to what we wanted to see, and that's Batman versus Superman, not all the extra stuff that they showed us last time.
Yeah, definitely. The back and forth between Batman and Superman, that was obviously the main focus. And Ben Affleck, I've always been a fan of him as Batman, but just the sarcasm you can kind of see in the way he acts. If he bled, you can just see like he was trying to get under Superman's skin, and I think he portrayed that in a great way. I think Batman's gonna be a great foe for Superman throughout how long this movie, 2/3 of it. And also, I just had a question of why is Batman on the agenda in Gotham all of a sudden, or in Metropolis? Why, after all these years, I think he's been Batman for I don't know how many, a number of years in this movie, but why has he come back and all of a sudden people don't like him? I mean, it's nothing new that he's done or that he's doing, but one kind of theory I had is I think maybe he might have gone away like in Dark Knight Returns. Maybe he's been gone for a few years and he came back with his resurgence, and now the people don't like it again for whatever reason that is. But maybe that might play a role in Death of a Family or Jason Todd's storyline where he felt guilty and he went away, but now he's back. So I know that's kind of not about the TV spots, but you kind of said everything I was going to say anyways. So that just overall, these spots got me really excited again for this movie. This past Monday, Fox had a fan event in both New York and LA. The event was supposed to feature new footage from the upcoming Deadpool movie. Turns out that new footage ended up being a surprise screening of the entire movie itself. Fans in LA got to see a panel of Stan Lee and Tim Miller, while fans in New York got Ryan Reynolds himself. Terry, what do you think of the Fox's decision to screen the movie to the fans?
This is like literally the cherry on top of this marketing campaign for Deadpool. We talked about it last time, and I'll continue to talk about it. This has been one of the greatest marketing campaigns ever, and I think a lot of people feel like it gave you a blueprint of how to operate. I think it only works for Deadpool. I think it was a mix of smart marketing, but marketing that fit the subject that you were doing. So all the dirty jokes and things they did, but this was it was great, but it was also risky. To me, you screen it to test groups, but you also screen it, of course, to critics, and then kind of let them give their professional opinions. To screen it to regular fans who can tweet, text anybody, or say whatever they want. They have no agenda. so they can say whatever they actually felt about it. It says a lot that Fox believes in this movie, and it paid off because all the buzz about the movie was positive. I think 98% of what I saw was about how great this movie was. So Fox, having the guts to do it and then capping this campaign off right.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it fits really well with this movie, Deadpool. I mean, it's just a different movie that Fox is going with, and it's not your obviously typical superhero movie. One thing I do like to think about is they said that there's a cut scene afterwards, which Fox is kind of, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't have one. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of speculation on what it is. One theory was that maybe Cable might be in it. And for those of you that don't know, he's Cyclops' son. He was sent to the future, but then he came back, and so it can introduce a whole new character that might be the main antagonist, protagonist. We don't know what he might be. Another one is just more antics from Deadpool. It might just be a really funny cutscene or something that can just set up an entire new sequel to this first movie. So that's something I'm really excited for. I don't know what they did to get people not to spoil it. I mean, we still have 2 weeks until the movie, 3 weeks now. So there might be something there. I want to say that there's going to be a leaked entire movie sometime between now and then. But whatever Fox is doing, they're doing it right in terms of marketing. So
yeah, and just to add to that, I know we talked about it. I really feel like they made them sign some type of waiver or just we're going to show you the screening, but before you watch it, you consent not to say such a... Because to me, that is scary. These people can say whatever they want to who they want. So I just feel like they did something. And then just one last comment about the end credit scene. I think it has to set up the crossover with either him and Gambit or him and X-Men. Because we talked about before the timeline. X-Men is in the 80s right now. But in this movie, Colossus, we heard in the trailer, Deadpool said, we don't have time for your X-Men BS. So that acknowledges that X-Men are in existence when Deadpool takes place. So I think we need to see something that connects those.
Sure, definitely. I'm really excited. Next in news, DC had a featurette on the CW this past Tuesday. The featurette gave us a behind-the-scenes look at upcoming films such as Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, and a special preview of the future Justice League themselves. This featurette ended by giving us our second official trailer for the Suicide Squad. Terry, I know we talked about it when it came on, and after it came on, you called me right away. But what did you think of the featurette?
Yes, strong feelings about this featurette. So I'll get the smaller stuff out the way. Justice League was pretty much what we thought. Seeing Jason Momoa after not seeing him for a while was kind of nice. I already liked the casting and the look, but just to see him again, hear him talk about how he is Arthur Curry and he is the half god, half human version of Aquaman. That was cool. Wonder Woman. They sold me on Wonder Woman. I talked about how Gal Gadot's been a risk because she's unproven as an actress. And of course the look and all those things that people were concerned about, I was too. Watching that featurette, seeing the footage that they've shot already in less than a month was amazing. The way it looked was amazing. The way she looked was amazing. Now we still haven't heard her speak, even through all the stuff we've seen, but she looks good. We saw her fighting, and seeing Wonder Woman in that atmosphere was great. But let's get to the big daddy. The Suicide Squad trailer. Love that trailer. It put me on a different level when it came on. I'm just I wasn't ready for that. The music and the whole tone was complete opposite of what we saw from the first trailer, which was so dark. And then you get this and the music's pumping and you get the jokes. It was so many good things that it'd take forever to talk all about them, but Jai Courtney stood out for me, and that's the guy I never thought would have. I haven't seen any of his stuff, but from the people I hear talk about him, he's a horrible actor. But he was the one that jumped out. You had the part where he drinks the beer, the action's going on. My favorite part that I always is stuck in my head is when they cut him open out of the bag. He jumps out, just punches someone.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a Suicide Squad movie.
Him and Slipknot.
Yes.
The best.
I was waiting for everyone to punch someone.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I think this will be fun. I think we will have those dark tones. And I still think the Joker looks good. He looks better every time we see him. I still think he's flashback mostly. But it was nice to see more of him. My one negative is I'm not really feeling Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I think she looks like her for the most part, but the voice and just the way she comes across, it isn't what I expected. I think there was a way to do it, and I'm not sure I like that way, but I'll wait to the movie to find out.
Yeah. So for me, I like one thing that people aren't really talking about is the kind of concept art graphics that we saw when they were doing all the Justice League. It didn't look so much like all the like the ones I want to get to are Flash and Cyborg. You can't really see their faces in Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher, but I'm pretty sure that was them in concept art form. So that was pretty cool to see. You don't have Flash's lightning bolts on the side.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I didn't see that, so I think they're gonna go a different direction with his costume, but we'll see. And but yeah, Wonder Woman. That footage, the juxtaposition between her outfit and World War I, that time era, looked so cool. And just the cinematography where we had the slow motion of her beating up those soldiers, and her riding that horse in that open field. The whole movie, or at least that era, looks very dreary, which it should because it was World War I. But then you have her outfit that kind of pops into that universe. So thought that was really cool. Really excited to see it. Really excited to see Chris Pine in it too. I really like that guy. So in terms of that, I'm pretty confident as of right now. It's pretty early. But for Suicide Squad, same exact thing as you. I loved it. The way it was just edited perfectly. I don't know what else to say. One thing I did want to talk about was when I would have to assume it's Harley Quinn's transformation. We see Joker, I assume, throwing her into that vault of, it's supposed to be, I don't know if it's supposed to be acid. It's kind of in the comics and the new ones it is acid, but it didn't look quite like acid. What I think it is, because they kind of look like claymation a little bit or something, it was off with how they looked. So I want to say it's some sort of psychological transformation in her mind. And that's kind of the indicator that she's changing. So I'm not sure if that sequence in there is really happening, but I'm really interested to see just everything in this movie. I think it's the Guardians of the Galaxy for DC. It's going to be funny, but at the same time, I think it's going to be even darker than Guardians ever got. I'm just really excited. So, yeah. And now on to Star Wars. In a recent interview with Vogue, hit star of Episode 7, The Force Awakens, John Boyega, gave a little insight on the upcoming Episode 8. While talking about keeping secrets, Boyega had this to say. We're just starting to work on Star Wars 8. The next film, so I'm back to keeping secrets again. It's great. Much darker, but we're very excited. My part in the next film will be much more physical, so I might be in the gym a bit more. Terry, what do you think about all this talk with Episode 8 already? I mean, it got delayed. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. But what do you think?
Yeah, for me, it makes sense that Episode 8 is going to be darker. A lot of people talk about how Force Awakens is similar to A New Hope.
Yeah.
And if you're following the trilogy, then this next episode will be similar to Empire Strikes Back, where it's, a little more serious in tone. So that doesn't surprise me. And then you have Rian Johnson directing, who is a more darker tone director anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me. As far as him having a more physical role, I think that was more intriguing, because at the end of it, we did see him get his back sliced. And so if you're using the correct canon with Star Wars, a lightsaber slicing your back could do some serious damage.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's going to be years later. I think he'll be rehabbed, but I almost kind of wonder if he's going to be something like crippled or something. But obviously, with what he said, it seems he'll be back to full strength.
Yeah. So yeah, to the same go with that. I think it's going to be a couple years down the line in this story. I think it'd be really cool if he had some of robotic spine or something like that. I think that would be really cool to his character. I don't know exactly where his character is going. I think he's just going to be, you know, an officer in the Resistance, but you know, there's not much to speculate on right now, but I am excited that it's going to be a more physical movie. Like you said, Empire Strikes Back was a darker, more physical kind of thing than A New Hope. So, you know, from here on out, we're just going to get more news. So I'm just waiting to hear that. So now we want to do one of our newer segments called Keep It or Sweep It. Basically, we take some news that we've heard or some rumors that are going around the internet and decide whether they are, you know, worth keeping or sweeping to the side. So let's go. Last week, president of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige confirmed that director Ryan Coogler will be behind the camera for the upcoming Black Panther film starring Chadwick Boseman. So Terry, with this news coming of the director for Black Panther, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Coogler?
Well, first I gotta keep it. I gotta keep it nice and tight to me because Marvel has let many directors slip away for this movie already. So getting Ryan Coogler, hopefully he sticks, is a great pickup. Ryan Coogler burst on the scene with Fruitvale Station, and then he followed that up with Creed, which has a lot of Oscar buzz. You got Sylvester Stallone even getting a nomination, who thought that would happen for being Rocky. And so I think he's a dynamic enough director, and he has enough energy to bring diversity to this project because it takes place in Africa. Yeah. Well, Wakanda, Africa's a real place, but that's where it's taking place, and so you have to have someone to bring that culture to the movie, and so I have to keep it.
Okay. So for me, Coogler, what I really like that he can bring to the table is he writes and directs. He's not necessarily writing this movie, but I think those qualities can really bring good stuff to the table. I watched Fruitvale Station. I wasn't the hugest fan of it. I know you liked it a lot, but it just didn't do it for me as it did for other people. But I mean, that aside, Black Panther is not Fruitvale Station. You know, this is a totally different thing in the Marvel universe. It's kind of in the same realm as Doctor Strange or Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's not just a cut and dry superhero thing. Black Panther has a really cool origin story.
Yes.
So I don't know what the story is going to be. I don't know if Ulysses Claw is going to be, if this is going to be him before he gets his hand cut off. Is it going to be after Age of Ultron? We don't know yet. We know Black Panther's in Civil War, but this is going to be a totally different movie. So for now, though, I'm going to sweep it under the rug, but you know, I'm keeping it under the rug until maybe a little bit later down the line, and maybe I'll keep it. So we'll see though. I don't know. Alright, on to news for Thor Ragnarok. In an interview during the BAFTA Awards, Avengers star Mark Ruffalo had this to say about the rumors of Cate Blanchett joining Marvel. "I'm so thrilled. I saw her at the governor's banquet here and heard that maybe she was circling. They were talking to her about the part, so I ran up to her and I was like, please, please, please make this work. And to have her play a baddie is going to be really exciting." Terry, what do you think about this news with Blanchett here?
I gotta keep it. Cate Blanchett is really hot right now. She's up for an Oscar this year. She's already won an Oscar. If you haven't seen her in Cinderella as the evil stepmom, you should see it. She's haunting. So I really love it because she's a top-notch actress right now, and I think it's going to be a villain. Her acting chops kind of play towards a darker person. And for Ragnarok, I think she's going to end up playing Hela, who is a keeper of the underworld in the Asgardian realm. Yeah. So I think that she's perfect to play that type of villain, and she's going to probably end up getting Thor into some type of trouble with the Hulk and things like that. But interesting enough, the theory is that they're going to play her off as the deaf character, which means Thanos, who is in love with death, will probably end up trying to get her affection. And I think someone like Cate Blanchett is a woman you believe is worthy enough for Thanos to pine after.
Yeah. So yeah, same here. I'm going to keep that. Cate Blanchett, I mean, you saw her in Lord of the Rings. I thought she was awesome in that. I think she's going to be awesome for this. It's kind of like the same kind of world. And anything of that, I think she can play really well. Like you said with Thanos, I think that would be awesome to see. So, you know, I'm excited to see it. I'm ready to keep it, and, you know, well, hopefully we'll have news of her soon. All right, and back to Dawn of Justice. In recent interviews, director of the upcoming Batman Superman, Zack Snyder, had comments on the fact that fans thought the new trailer spoiled the movie, saying, "It's cool that they think it's too much, and I appreciate people not wanting to know, but there's plenty they don't know. There's a lot of movie that's not in the trailer." We had a long conversation about just taking ownership of that, of giving it to the audience in a controlled way that I felt was consistent with the escalation of the campaign. I know it's been a while since that trailer has come out, but what are your thoughts on it? I know you're pretty opinionated on that trailer itself, but what do you think about his comments here?
I'm going to keep the first comments by Snyder. It's kind of what I've been saying since the whole time. I think they got more tricks up their sleeve. I think that they showed you exactly what they wanted to show you, and that is not spoiling the entire movie. It's not to the point where I don't need to go see this movie because I know what's happening. But I will sweep the second comment talking about Doomsday. It does seem like they kind of panicked a little. And I was defending DC at first and Warner Brothers. I said, you know what? No, they know what they're doing. And they do. But it does seem like they were kind of panicking to the Marvel hype with Civil War. And Snyder comments kind of confirm it, because in that interview he also talked about, we want to show you that there's not just Batman, Superman, there's Justice League coming. And that's exactly what people were complaining about. So it hurt me that that was his thought process. I say you still didn't need to do that, but I still believe that there's a lot more to go see that movie for.
So yeah, mine's kind of a little bit more confusing. I'm keeping half of that first quote.
Right.
I don't think that they should have showed Doomsday. I was excited when I first saw it, but you know, I think a lot like everyone else, you kind of think about it. Batman, Superman was the focus of this movie, and obviously you knew they were going to get together anyways.
Right.
But you don't want to see. I don't think you want to see that before it actually comes out. If I would have been in theater and I would have seen Doomsday getting made, I'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I don't agree that they should have showed it. I do agree. I am keeping the second part of the first comment. I do believe that they have something else up their sleeve. I think it's Darkseid. But I think a lot of people think it's Darkseid, so now I'm thinking it's not Darkseid. I don't know. But I do believe that they have more to it. I don't think they would have shown their one and only trick in the whole movie. So I agree with them in that aspect. And in terms of the second comment, I don't know really what to do with it. I think I'm sweeping it because it seems like just like the run-of-the-mill kind of comment when you're asked that question. Snyder, I feel like they're kind of regretting it in a way, but not saying it. So I'm sweeping that. I'm a huge fan of the movie anyways, but that's for another time, I guess. We'll see what happens when it comes out. And that is our show for today. So remember, if you want more of the canon, make sure you give us the ammo by clicking the subscribe button below. All right, and I want to thank my partner, Terry. Terry, where can these fine people find us?
Well, you can find us on Twitter at The Canon Vlog, or you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Canon.
All right, and I'm your host, Sal. So remember, if you heard her here, it's canon.
Before we go, we want to do one of our segments called the Smackdown of the Week. Now that basically just means we point out something or someone we didn't like in this week in the comic book movie world. So for this week, my Smackdown is for Warner Brothers and DC. And it's for that latest trailer for Batman vs. Superman that they released. And I'm not talking about